ask about Game of Thrones and how the show was so great at the beginning and then fell off at the end. This was his first time watching through it. He'd heard it got bad towards the end, drops off at the end, and he asked this question. How do you explain how a show being that good at its peak and then is that bad at its low point? The answer is actually fairly simple and straightforward, which is the early seasons of Game of Thrones were adaptations of books. But at a certain point in time, George R.R. Martin hadn't finished the books yet. So he had some notes, he had some ideas of where things are going. He had outlines, and he passed along outlines to them rather than them having books to adapt. So immediately right there, the writers had to do a lot more of the legwork, the hard work of writing, not just adapting what had already been done. Those are kind of two different things. The difference between adapting a book versus adapting cliff notes and having to flesh it out. When you watch the last two seasons in particular, you can just see that taking place, where it's just hopping between plot points, bullet points on an outline, rather than adapting a fleshed out story where all the details are set up, elaborated on, and then paid off, versus bullet point, moving to the next bullet point. The other thing that happened is that apparently the head writer people just kind of got tired of working on Game of Thrones, where they'd become so popular. They had all these offers thrown at them. They were going to do Star Wars. Netflix was throwing money at them. And so they were just kind of ready to move on. HBO was like, hey, we want you to keep on going. If you need 2-3 more seasons to finish this out, absolutely do it. And they're like, no, we're good. We can do it in a season or two. And so they decided themselves to do it in 8 seasons rather than doing it in 10 seasons. And if you've watched the last 2 seasons, even if you like where they go with the plot points, everyone says that the last 2 seasons are rushed. At best, they are rushed. That's the best way to describe them. And like a major thing is that, in seasons, early seasons, it would take a whole season to travel from the north to King's Landing. And here they do it in 10 minutes on the show. Like something that was a major months of travel, suddenly you can do it in a couple hours because they're just rushing through plot points and teleporting all around Westeros. And so it was kind of those two things, that the main writers ran out of books to adapt, and so they were adapting an outline instead, and they weren't good enough to do it. Second, they lost interest, and though HBO said, we want you to go on for several more seasons, they're like, well, just do it real quick. And you see that when you watch the shows. Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month for $2 per month, $20 per year. You can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.